Foresight has just completely changed the golf launch monitor landscape. And for some of you, it's going to be great. And others, I don't think this is good news. Today we're talking about the all-new Foresight GC3S, as well as the new Bushnell LPi. What these are, how they compare to their current counterparts, and what that means for you if you are in the market for a new launch monitor or simulator this year. Let's not waste any time, let's jump right into it. Okay, some quick backstory just to make sure we're all on the same page here. So a few years ago, Foresight Sports, who makes the GC3, the GC Quad, they bought Bushnell. Yes, the rangefinder company. So Foresight has the GC3, which is a fantastic launch monitor. They then rolled out the Bushnell Launch Pro, which is the exact same launch monitor. Literally, the exact same thing. The only difference is the GC3 is more expensive and doesn't come with a subscription. You get lifetime access to all of the Foresight software, whereas the Launch Pro is less expensive, and there are a couple different versions of it depending on what data you want, but it comes with a $500 a year subscription if you want to use basically any of the software and the features that are included in that. So they've changed some pricing and a few things here and there over the last couple years, but by and large, they've all been pretty much the same. But now, Foresight has completely changed their whole lineup. They've changed how you're going to pay for that lineup, but they have also rolled out a couple of very cool new features that we haven't seen done before that may make that extra expense, or lack of expense, depending on what you get, worth it. So let's talk about what all that is. Okay, so first off, the most obvious, biggest news, Foresight just released the GC3S. This is a $3,799 launch monitor, which is essentially the exact same as, well, the old GC3. It's got all of the ball and club data built in, but there is one new feature that they call Link. What is Link? Well, essentially what this is it's a link between your launch monitor data and your golf rangefinder. Remember how I mentioned Foresight owns Bushnell? Well, because of that partnership, they're able to do something that most other brands can't. Now with this link feature enabled, what you're going to be able to do is get all of your accurate distances, your trajectory, your misses, get all of your launch monitor data, and then take that data to the golf course via your rangefinder, where you are then going to get personalized yardages and recommendations based on everything it knows about your golf game. So what does that look like? Well, with the new GC3S, you can go into assessment mode, where you're going to hit a few shots with every single club, where it can get a sense of how far you hit it, what your trajectories are, what your misses are, so that it can then take that data and make recommendations when you're using your rangefinder. So you'll then take your Bushnell rangefinder, you'll go out to the course, and it's going to actually give you 2 club recommendations for every shot you hit, based on what it knows about your game. But not only that, it will also give you a very accurate slope calculation that doesn't just take into account the slope of the golf hole, but it will also look at the elements, the elevation, the wind, the temperature, and it will also take all of your data and give you a plays-like yardage that is tailored to your golf trajectory and your golf swing. That's pretty nuts. But it's not the first time we've seen this. Precision Pro tried to do the same thing a few years ago. The problem is that it wasn't fully fleshed out. They don't have their own integrated launch monitor to make it work, so I've kind of been waiting to see if another brand would step in and fill this niche, and now we know that Foresight's the one that's going to do this. But there's one big component that I've left out so far. So you might be wondering, okay, cool, I got my GC3S, I'm getting all that data. Will this work with any rangefinder? How do I get data in my current rangefinder? Well, you don't. As a huge, really big added bonus of buying the GC3S, you will get a brand new Bushnell Pro X3 Link. So the Pro X3 is essentially the best rangefinder on the market. It's $600. It is fantastic across the board. Recently, I've been saying, you know what, you probably don't need to buy it because there are a lot of other golf rangefinders that do a very good job for less than half the price. But this new Link model is going to take all of the best things of the previous generation Pro X3 and help incorporate that Link data into the device itself when you're out on the course. Oh, and when you buy the GC3S, you're going to get the rangefinder for free, or at least included in the price. So $37.99, plus it includes arguably the most high-end rangefinder on the market. Seems like a pretty good deal. Here's the downside to that. Whereas with the original GC3 that retails for $6,999, you don't have a subscription. With the new GC3S, you do. And unfortunately, it is the same $500 a year subscription that the Launch Pro currently has. So yes, this is a new device, it's got some new features, it's more expensive than the existing Launch Pro, but quite a bit cheaper than the original GC3, but it's going to have that subscription. There's a lot of people that I know are going to be unhappy about this. I'm someone who hates subscriptions, but if I'm being honest, if I'm looking at everything you get, a ball and club data launch monitor that's very accurate and fantastic, a super high-end rangefinder, all that link technology, and the software suite, which includes FSX Pro, FSX Play, which is arguably my favorite sim software, like that's pretty good bang for your buck, especially considering this device comes in $700 cheaper than the Unicore iMini, which is probably its biggest competitor. While the subscription is a little bit more, I would say you get more for that subscription than you do with the Unicore subscription. So that's the GC3S, and all that is pretty cool. The subscription's a little bit of a bummer, but overall, I think it's going to be a pretty good value and hopefully some really good tech that I'm excited to get out and review. Where things start to vary a little bit depends on if you're more on the high end or the low end of the market, because the people on the high end, I think they're coming out ahead now. If you're on the lower end or the more budget-friendly end, well, things aren't as good for you. Hey, real quick, has this been helpful? Has this been interesting? Maybe give me a subscribe. I'll wait. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Appreciate you. So let's start with the good news first. Foresight is still selling the GC3. That GC3 is still the same retail price of $6,999, but it now is also getting the same link treatment. So for that same price that it has been previously, you're now getting that Pro X3 link rangefinder. You're getting that extra link data and all of those extra capabilities. That is pretty cool. What does that mean for current GC3 owners? If I had to guess, they're going to get a software and firmware update that's going to get them access to the link data, and then they might get a special deal or a special code to be able to buy the new Pro X3 link rangefinder at a discount. I have no idea. That's pure speculation on my part. But as of late 24, you're pretty routinely seeing a ball data only version on sale for $1,749, plus the $500 a year subscription. Now that subscription's a bummer, but that's a very good entry point for a very accurate device. Well, while that is still, as of the time of shooting this, still available, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that they're retiring the Launch Pro as it currently sits. How do we know this? Because they have also announced the release of the Bushnell LPi. So what is the LPi? Essentially, it's kind of a dumbed down version of the GC3S. It's going to have the exact same form factor, but they're doing away with the touch screen. It's also no longer going to be an outdoor launch monitor. They're saying the LPi is just for indoor use. And the retail price is $2,799 plus that $500 a year subscription. The good news is that it does include club data. So the retail price on a comparable Launch Pro is $3,500, but you could pretty routinely find it for around $3,000. So $200 less than that sale price, but you lose the touch screen and you lose the ability to use it outside on the range. And you also don't have the opportunity to buy it for nearly $1,000 less for just a ball data only version. So if you were thinking 2025 was going to be the year that you were going to dip your toes in the water, you were going to buy the cheapest Launch Pro you could, maybe update it later on to the club data enabled version or something like that, well, I got bad news for you. You're not going to be able to do that. Also, literally in the last 4 hours when I started writing this announcement to now, sometime during that window, the prices across the internet have changed from $1,749 to $1,999 for the Launch Pro. So that lower sale price we've been seeing for the last few months, that is no more. One thing that's worth noting that I also don't think is a coincidence is the fact this new Bushnell LPi is priced almost identically to the Unicore iMini Lite. At $2,799, it's just $50 more than the Unicore. So that's the dumbed down version of the Unicore iMini, where it essentially has the same data, the same cameras, but it can only be used indoors, it can only be used with a PC, and there's no built-in screen. This is one area where the Bushnell may have a little bit of a leg up, because even though they're doing away with the touchscreen, it does still have a screen. And with the Unicore iMini Lite, you have to use a gaming PC. You're not allowed to use the Unicore app with that device. Whereas with the subscription that you get with the LPi, even though it's a little bit more than the Unicore's, you can use it with an iPad. So this is just another perfect example of how in the world of launch monitors, everything is confusing, everything's always changing, and there's no one size fits all, this is the best device out there for anybody. It really all depends on your personal needs and your budget. So to wrap up, what's my takeaway on all this? Honestly, when I first heard about it, I was annoyed. I was like, okay, so you're getting rid of the cheapest Bushnell, you're creating a more expensive GC3S version, you're adding a subscription to that, which everybody hates, and I don't know, I just didn't really like it. But when I first heard about it, I didn't know it was going to be including a Bushnell Pro X3 Link rangefinder. I haven't used that yet, but I've used the regular Pro X3, the Pro X3 Plus. It's excellent. At $600, would I recommend it to most people? No, I wouldn't. But if it's coming with your launch monitor and giving you enhanced data, I mean, that's pretty cool. Like, that's a feature that I think a lot of people are going to be into. I love the fact they're including it with the regular GC3 and giving the regular GC3 that link update. Does it still feel very expensive? Yes. Is it now a device that's like going on 5 years old? Yes, but that doesn't change the fact it's super accurate and provides a world-class simulator experience. I think the biggest bummer for me is the fact they got rid of the lower priced option, because I know that was kind of a gateway, a good entry point into this ecosystem for a lot of people, and it's now just gonna make it a little bit harder, a little bit more expensive to get into it. And if you do decide to go with that new LPi model, yes, while you are gaining some club data, you're also losing the touchscreen and the ability to take it out to the range, which I think is one of the biggest selling points of the Bushnell Launch Pro currently. You can use it at home, set it up with the simulator, you can just pick it up, you can put it out on the range. Like, I love the fact that it's that convenient and that accessible. But now if you want to do that, you're gonna have to upgrade to a device that's going to be much more expensive. So all that to say, I'm excited to get these new units in my hands. I'm excited to test them out and review that. I will make sure I update with a link to this video below once I have done so. You can also go check out the written review of this post, which I will continue to update as I am learning more about these new devices. But frankly, I think the most exciting part of all of this is, how is the rest of the market going to respond? With Foresight making such big changes in their lineup, does this open up an opportunity for other brands to do something similar? Is this an opportunity for other brands to kind of fill that $2,000 price point, which has gone away a little bit? I think in many ways, the FlightScope Mevo Plus all of a sudden becomes more attractive because there isn't much else that's competing in that kind of like $1,500 to $2,000 price point. But it all remains to be seen. We've got the PGA show coming up in a couple weeks, where I'm sure there's going to be a lot of announcements, and it's an exciting time in the world of golf launch monitors. So if you have any questions about the new GC3, GC3S, LPi, or anything else, drop a comment below. I will do my very best to help you answer it. And with that, hope you have an excellent day, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.